My friends, it is that time of the year. And no, I don't mean just a new co-op monthly. There are 4 months left in the year, so it's officially crunch time. As in, you have 4 months left in the year to finish your backlog, and no, you probably don't have time to play both Horizon and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Yikes. But I hope to God you already finished Elden Ring, or you're gonna be in deep trouble. And to make matters worse, yes, we're here to add more games to your plate. Sorry, not sorry. If you're new around here, welcome to the premier place to hear about what co-op games came out last month, what co-op games are coming out next month, and any co-op news in between. That's right, I did lie. It is time for the Co-op Monthly. Let's get started.
Alright, let's turn off this music, calm down, and get comfortable, because there were a lot of surprise games that came out last month, and we've got a lot to cover. One of those surprise games was PlateUp, which was released on August 4th exclusively to the PC, and I wanted to be sure to mention it because it has a 95% overwhelmingly positive user review score, which is awesome. It may look just like an overcooked clone, but it definitely is not. You upgrade and manage your kitchen over time, adding new appliances and menu items, in what is actually a very interesting twist on the roguelike genre. This is probably what I would prefer Overcooked to be, and maybe Gabe and I could slip in here sometime. It feels unlikely, but don't miss out on this like we will, especially with both local and online 4-player co-op. Another game that we did not expect to hit so hard was Arcade Paradise, an odd little indie where you manage a laundromat for your dad while secretly turning it into a hit arcade as a side hustle. User reviews on Steam give it an 84% very positive, and critics are a little bit below with a strong 75 on OpenCritic. God is a Geek was more positive than most, giving a 9 and saying Arcade Paradise not only looks cool, but the running of your business is fun and enjoyable, and the arcade games are wonderfully designed. If you've got some buddies that like management games or arcade games, or maybe even both, this game might be paradise. Arcade Paradise. Okay, let's move on from that. Yet another game we did not see coming last month is Escape the Backrooms, a 4-player online co-op horror exploration game that seriously was giving me goosebumps when I got to this point in the trailer.
What happened there? Oh, what the?
Gabe, I know it's only $10, but I just can't. It's got a 75% mostly positive review score from users on Steam, and we've heard Snowbike Mike from Kinda Funny talk positively about it on their podcast. One of the co-op features is that teammates may no-clip into other areas of the map, but everyone still has to escape alone or together. Seriously, it's a no from me, dog. Voyage is a 2D co-op cinematic adventure game that admittedly came out on PC a year ago but got ported to all the consoles earlier this month. It got a very positive 84% by Steam users, but critics only gave it a fair 71%. PlayStation Universe sits right around there with a 7, saying, "A lack of variety in puzzles is only briefly felt thanks to a concise runtime. The sluggish movement may look better than it feels, but a strikingly beautiful and vibrant world makes Voyage worth experiencing." The art style does look pretty cool to me, so if you're into these less gameplay, more vibe ordeals, it could be a good short game with a friend. Across the Obelisk is a co-op RPG deck-building roguelite, and I'm not sure there are too many of those that can boast that co-op part at the beginning. So that alone is pretty special. It came out of early access this month and boasts an 86% very positive Steam review score, but no critic reviews to count on yet. In co-op, you can team up with 3 other players and each take control of a hero in combat, and then decide as a group what you think the right play is. This is, again, pretty unique, so if you've ever dreamed of living out that Yugi Joey tag team, here's your chance. Unashamedly, I'm one of those people. Okay, I'm going to cover a few smaller games in quick succession, so cue the music editor. Spirit of the Island is a co-op life sim farming game that looks a lot like Dinkum but is not Dinkum and has a mix of positive reviews on Steam, digging the color palette. Robo Revenge Squad is a 1 to 4 player co-op action game where everything is a weapon because you're a robot and can attach stuff to yourself, and that is very cool. It's got a mostly positive user review on Steam, and it is out on all consoles. Bounty of One is a fast-paced yet casual roguelite bullet hell. Wait, how can that be a thing? But it's 1 to 4 players anyway. It's set in the Wild West, but I think you're all animals. Again, very cool. Thank you for your time, Bounty of One. Dynabomb 2, remember this one, guys? Well, he got a big fat 0 for no reviews. We'll pass there. Yars Recharge? More like Yars, you gonna buy me a banana? Yeah, I got a 78 on OpenCritic, which is kinda crazy, but hey, shout out to all you Yars heads out there. And I'll finish this quick and tidy bit on Saints Row, which is probably too big for this bit, but it totally bombed, so it's stuck here with everyone else and has to think about how and why it ended up with a 66 on OpenCritic. Bad, Saints Row. Bad. SD Gundam Battle Alliance arrived later in the month, and I think it did pretty well for itself given the subject matter. It's got a 74 on OpenCritic, and the general consensus seems to be that it's mostly for fans of the series, but it's still a well-made game. That makes sense considering only 44% of critics really recommended it. Josh Torres from RPG Site gave it a 7 out of 10 and mentioned the co-op in his closing by saying ArtDink's first Gundam game in a decade is surprisingly a challenge as a purely solo experience, and playing with others may make this action RPG shine despite its handful of flaws. These last couple of games releasing are right at the end of the month, so we'll just have to go without user scores and expect the OpenCritic to potentially change. So just keep that in mind when I say that Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed is sitting at a fair 68 on OpenCritic. The general idea is that the gameplay hasn't aged all too well and the formula feels a bit stale post that first remake. I'm sure playing with a buddy helps spice things up. If you're into these back in the day, chances are you're still into them now. Surprising absolutely no one, the Cowabunga collection has an 81 on OpenCritic as of writing, and is making dreams come true left and right. Gabe and I don't have a ton of nostalgia for the Turtle games, but we know a lot of you do, so we're glad to see they got the collection right, and you can all relive your childhood with your friends locally and online. Since Scathe released the day I edited this part of the video, it could get more reviews over the coming days. For its sake, I hope it does. After 5 reviews, it sits at a weak 60 with only 1 positive review. The gist seems to be this bullet hell aspect makes the Doom-like combat feel tedious and frustrating. Tom Cork of Checkpoint Gaming gave it a fat 4.5 out of 10 and had this to say at the end of his review. If you enjoy Doom and FPSs inspired by it and want to play it co-op with your friends, there is some enjoyment to be had, but there are better designed co-op shooters on the market that are more deserving of your time. We had high hopes for this, so we're bummed to hear about the results as much as you all are.
Looking forward to September. We don't have too many games to cover here, but they're all bangers, so let's start things off with the full release of Temtem. It's finally leaving early access on the 6th and launching onto PC, Switch, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. Yes, this is that Pokemon clone that has 2-player co-op online and had us really excited way back when it was first revealed. It's been in early access for 2 years and has gotten a slew of updates, adding things like a new house building mechanic, a new endgame island, and even a seasonal battle pass. We'll have to wait and see how the reviews do for this one, as there's a small chance we'll be tempted to drop everything and go tame some Temtems. Starting this one off with a bit of story time, back in 2018, Andrew convinced me to get a Switch so that we could play Splatoon 2 together. Back then I thought, well, it's a game about squid kids, so I guess it looks fun. And it was fun, but lacked a lot of features to truly make it great. Almost everything we wanted out of Splatoon 2 is being fully realized in Splatoon 3, and we couldn't be more excited to hop in together come September 9th. We already had some fun jumping in early for Splatfest, so we're counting the days to release at this point. This one features up to 4 players online in both the competitive multiplayer mode and the return of the co-op horde mode, Salmon Run. Look forward to a review on this one sometime after release. Another game spreading its wings and finally leaving the warm nest that is early access is Grounded. Grounded 1.0 is launching on September 29th for Xbox consoles and PC. If you don't know about this one, it's a 4-player online co-op survival game that riffs on the whole Honey I Shrunk the Kids idea. It comes from Obsidian, which is a solid developer, and we've heard nothing but good things about this game. The full release will have a variety of new additions, but most notably, you can finally play the whole story campaign. Remember when I said it was crunch time? Yeah, secretly hoping we get to this game this year, but if not, there's always next year's backlog, am I right? Rounding out next month's releases, we have Front Space out on PC and Switch on September 29th. This is a 4-player co-op online twin-stick shooter with a really fun art style. There's a ton of over-the-top weapons to use and different characters to choose from. Each character also has a unique ability, and you can even level them up in order to unlock perks that should lead to some really cool team comp opportunities. As far as indies go, this looks super fun, so make sure to wishlist it on Steam if it's your cup of tea.
We got an update early in the month from Nintendo on everything to expect in the upcoming Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. The 4-player co-op is a thing, we just don't know exactly what kind of thing. Taking pictures, showing off your Pokemon, and riding these legendaries is cool, but what else are you really doing? There's raid battles for 4 players, and that's also cool, but how much of this game is really co-op? We'll find out more probably before release in November. There are a ton of updates and DLC to existing games that were announced this month. August was sneaky busy for co-op, so I'll give you the deets as efficiently as possible. Nakara Blade Point got a cinematic revealing it'll have a new co-op campaign mode called Showdown, and the beta started this month as well. You and a group of up to 3 take on enemies in 2 different maps where you master either range or melee combat, all while culminating in an epic boss battle. This is originally a battle royale game that certainly looked interesting to me, and it hit pretty well with players and critics, so I'm happy fans of the game will have a new game mode to enjoy. A game we previously reviewed, The Ascent, is celebrating its 1-year anniversary with a DLC drop in The Cyber Heist. It came out this month and included additional post-campaign missions, new locations, and a new class of weapons. More specifically, there will be melee weapons now, which is a nice addition to help diversify your squad. We would have given The Ascent glowing reviews had it not been for some pretty bad bugs while playing in co-op. Unfortunately, we can't personally guarantee that won't still be an issue here. Another game we reviewed in the past year was Back 4 Blood, and it's also getting a major DLC update. I feel like I'm starting to see a trend. Releasing just a few days ago was the Children of the Worm DLC, the second planned expansion of 3. This chunk looks a little meatier than what we saw with the Tunnels of Terror, including new campaign missions, another playable character, a new cultist zombie enemy group, and new cards. Back 4 Blood had a lot of potential, but we had a pretty frustrating overall experience with difficulty spikes and underbalanced enemies. Hopefully by now it's a better package, and this DLC should help. Okay, this is starting to get a little bit weird. Another game we reviewed, and we're a little hesitant to fully recommend, received one of its DLC expansions. Any guesses? If you guessed Generation Zero, I'm seriously impressed you've been watching us for that long, and if you guessed Tiny Tina Wonderland, you'd be correct. Tiny Tina received its 4th expansion this month with Shattering Spyglass, and its biggest feature is an entirely new class to choose from, the Blightcaller. It's an elementalist class with unique abilities that can summon clouds of poison or a totem of death. Sounds cool, but if we learn anything from this game, the classes felt a bit stale despite being touted as a standout feature. There's also your usual DLC fanfare, new bosses, missions, guns, and gear. If you're still cool with Borderlands, then have at it. Maybe we've just been doing this for a while. Tribes of Midgard, yes class, another game we already reviewed, got its next season in Inferno Saga this month, touted as its biggest update so far. It has a new Saga quest, Saga boss, new volcanic biome, weapon type, and of course, fishing, because every good DLC has to add fishing at some point. The coolest update is to its survival mode with 2.0, where you can now build anywhere on the map and really set up for the long run. Overall, we enjoyed the Saga mode. It's a unique take on survival games and is great with a group of friends. Would highly recommend, and I wish we had time to come back and play this once again. Okay, at least this game and the last game we reviewed and enjoyed. Evil Dead the Game was a standout competitive co-op asymmetrical game released this year, and it's getting a smaller update with a new class for both the survivors and the demons. We don't have a whole lot of details or gameplay to show you of this announcement, we just know it's coming next month. If you're into asymmetrical games and can rope in some friends, this is a good one. Finishing off our tour of past games we reviewed is Destiny 2, with the big reveal that we'll be getting Lightfall early next year on February 28th. The trailer looked cool, I like the art direction they're going in, and I think we've learned after playing Witch Queen that these big expansions are worth returning to. We also just started the Season of Plunder, but if you're into Destiny, you already know that, so I won't brief you on that front. If you missed the train at the last stop, being Witch Queen, the next stop will be Lightfall. Don't bother to try and hop on the train during the seasonal content, it's moving a bit too fast. I feel like there's no good way to end this train analogy, so here's a brief clip of that game with a scary train. I'm really sorry in advance, I don't know why I'm doing this. Finally, a game is getting DLC that we haven't played yet. Nobody Saves the World is the girl that got away from us so far this year. We want to play it, we want to review it, but it just hasn't happened yet. But on September 13th, it's getting the Frozen Hearth expansion with new forms, unique challenges and side quests, and mini-golf. Mini-golf might finally be able to pull us in and have us review it because we all know how disappointed I was with Mario Golf, but it's fine, Nintendo. It's fine. Nobody Saves the World will make up for it. Gamescom opening night live happened and made this video way longer than I want it to be. Thanks for that one, Uncle Jeff. But it also brought many good tidings, including gameplay for the upcoming Goat Simulator. Play as goats with your buddies and cause mass chaos. Enough said. No, seriously, I don't know what else to say about this. Just go to the next game. Dying Light 2 finally got date confirmation on its story expansion, Bloody Ties. You fight in some sort of crazy-looking post-apocalyptic gladiator matches, as if fighting hordes of zombies isn't enough. Another one that got away, but we do have it on our calendar to play in the pre-Gotham Knights window, which works well with this DLC releasing on October 13th. Not necessarily co-op, but you know we like to bend the rules. Marauders is getting its early access beta this October. This is the Space Mercenaries multiplayer game where you raid ships while tussling with other competing Marauders in what is kind of like a competitive looter game. We thought this looked cool when it was first announced, and hopefully it starts to prove that to everyone pretty soon in early access. The last game that we already knew about to get an update that wasn't a delay was Outlast Trials, receiving its closed beta in late October, and it will have 4-player co-op, and clowns, and possessed dolls, and Gabe is signing us up, and I'm announcing my retirement from this channel. It's been a great 3 years, guys. I've really enjoyed my time here. You've been a great audience. Peace out.
Now, I have the pleasure of delivering some good news and some bad news, so let's get the bad news out of the way, starting with Warhammer 40k Darktide. Don't worry, it's still coming out this year, but it was delayed from its original September 13th date and will now come out on November 30th, fingers crossed of course. This is one of the games we're looking forward to the most. Previews have been super positive, so let's all join hands and send all the good vibes in hopes that it makes this freaking date. Another game delayed to November is Evil West, which is getting a 2-month delay from its original September 22nd date. Previews from this game look pretty positive, and it looks like it's in a good place. At least enough that we'd be surprised if it gets delayed to next year. Evil West has piqued our interest more and more over time, so here's hoping this co-op vampire Wild West shooter comes out on time. While Darktide and Evil West should hopefully survive this year's onslaught of delays, some were not as lucky. ARC Raiders was delayed from its vague 2022 release window to a just as vague 2023 release. Not too surprised with this one, as it looks super ambitious and we haven't received too many updates on it. So I guess we'll see you sometime next year, ARC Raiders. Now this one actually hurts me to say. Nightingale has been officially delayed to next year. I know, it hurts. It's not all bad though, as the game should hopefully launch onto early access in Q1 of 2023. It's a huge bummer like I said, but at least they have some good reasons for it. The main one being an upgrade to Unreal Engine 5, which should make the game look and run even more impressive than it already did. So take your time guys, we're looking forward to this one and are happy to wait if it means getting a straight banger early next year. As if that Nightingale news wasn't enough, how about we throw some fresh salt in that wound with the recent news that Sons of the Forest has been delayed for a 3rd time and will now hopefully come out on February 23rd of next year. Guys, we're so bummed out about this one. Someone's gotta break the news to Garrett because I simply just can't stomach that. Jokes aside, finally having a firm release date is nice, and at least we can look forward to having a really polished title come next year. Only thing is, now we need a new Halloween game to play. Maybe we'll finally get into Phasmophobia, we'll see. Alright, why don't we shift gears to some positive news, like Ship of Fools finally getting a firm release date coming November 22nd. Man, November seems kinda stacked, guys. This is that sea exploration roguelike co-op game we've covered on the monthly a couple times, and we couldn't be happier to see it getting a firm release date. Roguelike co-op games are few and far between, but this looks like it's making it work, so we'll have to see if we can sneak it in before the end of the year. On to some new game reveals, starting with Green Guardian's Demon Purge, which sees two sisters take on a horde of demons in a Castlevania-like title. This comes from the developers of Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, another Castlevania-inspired title, so you know these guys know what they're doing. A co-op Castlevania-like honestly sounds super fun, and you can even tweak the difficulty using the game's style system. No release window for this one yet, but we do know it's launching on all platforms. You might be surprised to hear that the new Vikings on Trampolines game is coming from the makers of Owlboy. Kind of a big departure, but this 4-player local co-op game looks like wacky fun to say the least. All of the traversal in this game is done via trampolines, which looks both fun and kinda stressful honestly. The game will feature both a co-op campaign as well as a party versus mode, and I don't know about you guys, but this looks like a great game night staple in the making. No release window yet, but go wishlist it on Steam to stay informed. On to our next announcement, we have Project S. I imagine this is a working title, but when you got games named Triangle Strategy, you can never know for sure. This is a co-op puzzle game that can be best summed up by saying it's pretty much The Witness, but in co-op. I've never seen a cinematic puzzle game like this have multiplayer, but it looks like this one has cracked the code. It's also set in a cool fantasy setting, so all in all, Project S is pretty different, but could be really cool. It's slated for release sometime next year, so we'll have to wait till then to hear more. And just when you thought we were done, nope, we have more Gamescom news. While Andrew filled you in on games we've known about, here's 3 co-op games revealed at the showcase, starting with Moving Out 2. Not surprised by this sequel, as the first game received a ton of praise. Sadly, the first game was couch co-op only, and we never got around to it. Lucky for us though, the sequel has both online and local co-op, so we're definitely looking forward to its launch sometime next year. Next up is The Lords of the Fallen, which is the sequel to 2014's Lords of the Fallen. Yeah, a slight title change there, but we're rolling with it. The original was one of the first Souls-likes I remember hearing about, and while some people liked it, it didn't make much of a splash. What does make a splash though is having the voice of straight legend Eddie Munson narrate this trailer. And of course, you gotta love some classic Danzig. The sequel promises to have uninterrupted 2-player online co-op, and you'll be able to make your own character this time around. After digging more into this, I gotta say, we're at least intrigued by The Lords of the Fallen. We'll hear more about it sometime next year. Now, every show has to end with that essential one more thing, and our Lord and Savior Jeff Keighley delivered the goods in the form of the much anticipated Dead Island 2. That's right, after 9 years, Dead Island is back from the dead. Get it? Because it's like a zombie game? Yeah, okay. The sequel will support up to 4 players online co-op as you and your friends take on the gore-filled campaign set all over LA. The fact that it has a core campaign definitely piques our interest, and all in all, we think this is a pretty dope announcement to end the first night of the showcase.
Man, that was surprisingly a doozy of a monthly. All those games and news felt like they came out of nowhere, but we're glad it's in the books and we're looking forward to the next. If you enjoyed your time, please subscribe and comment below. We stream on Mondays and Thursdays, so check us out there. We'll be putting about 3 reviews out this month, so you can look forward to that. Gonna be awesome, and we'll see you there next time on another episode of The Co-op Bros.